Okay, hello everyone. With the coming of COVID-19, there's been an increased use of online surveys because of the many restrictions on face-to-face meetings, particularly in large gatherings. And so this has equally distorted the use of face-to-face surveys. To make people collect data has equally been very difficult, and so most people have switched to using online platforms, and there are many of them which can be used, online platforms that can be used to do online surveys. There are many of them. One of such ways is using Google Forms, and Google Forms is a free app that can be used to share your surveys and get responses and even get analysis. So with a request from a colleague on how to use Google Forms, I decided to do this brief video. Of course, you can go to YouTube, pick out an illustrative video there, or you can simply follow me on this short illustration, a very practical and real one. So, how did I get here? Of course, I just went to my I went to my web browser, Google Chrome, and Google Chrome got me here. So you can see my profile name, and then you have the apps indicated by the 9 dots just here. So I could go to these apps, and when I click on it, I'm going to see the different Google apps embedded in Google. And when I scroll down, I'm going to see Google Forms. So you see it here in purple. But you can also come to Google Classroom, and Google Forms are equally embedded in the Google Classroom, because we could use it for quizzes and other things, to set exams and things like that. So basically for questioning. So you could also have it there, or you could simply go into Google Forms. When I open my Google Forms, I'm going to have different options. The option of a blank form, and also the options of some readily prepared forms that you can use if it suits your case. For instance, we have party invite, contact information, t-shirt sign up, RSVP, and so on. So for example, if you want to invite people to your party through uh, um, um, through an online survey or an online invite, in this case, you just need to click on this form, and let's see. You see what is going to appear. So it's going to collect some information for you. First of all, it has a beautiful party header there, and then you have some questions there. In fact, it's an invitation survey that you have there that you can collect data. But you can also design your own form and adapt it and bring it to this point, and that's what we want to do today by starting off with a from scratch with a new Google form. So if you come here, you see I just opened this form so you can see it here, and you can also see a survey I did on reimagining the future of higher education some time back, a few months back. So we could start here with the blank form from the beginning. And when we open this blank form, just like your ordinary form, you need to give a title. So your survey, remember that your survey, the traditional printout survey, has a title, the title of the survey. So here, I'm just going to put sample survey. And then, of course, your traditional survey also has some introductory information, such as maybe your organization, or maybe who you are, the purpose for collecting that data, or for taking out that survey. You may also want to add instructions. So you have all of those options here. So form description, you could want to add that. So let's just see, understanding. It's not uppercase sensitive unless you put it. So understanding how to use Google Forms. I think I'll just take that as my description very briefly, so you could add that. And then we have now where you actually indicate. So you could go on and on with your introduction as long as you want, just like in your traditional survey, whatever you want to include there. And did I say that the title of your survey must be put here or here? Whichever place is fine, because automatically the other section, especially when you put here, the other section is automatically going to get the title of that survey. See this? All right. So it gets the title of the survey. So you don't have to bother about typing on both spaces. Now I go to add my question. So let me assume that my question here, I want to find out the name of the participant. So I just add name. Sorry. So I just add name. I want the name of my participants. As you can see, on the left side of the form is where you indicate your questions, and then on the right side of the form is where you indicate your response options. When we are asking people for their names, we can have multiple choice response options that will say, for example, okay, is your name Lucy, or is it Sophie, or is it Linda, or is it Emmanuel? That will be crazy. So we go to these response options. There are many of them there. We have short answer, we have paragraph, multiple choice, check boxes, as many as you want, and you choose what corresponds to answering the question that you have asked. And if you take, in this case, for example, a paragraph, it will not be good, a paragraph for your whole name, except your name is Coco Melon Machineta Pukisaki, and I mean, I don't even think that will still get to a paragraph. All right, so, but if you take a short answer, that's what worked best. And so you put a short answer option there. And if you don't want your respondents to bypass this question, which means that it's a must for them to answer this question before moving on to the next, you need to take this option required. Whenever you don't take the option required, then your respondents may skip the question. And this is one advantage. This is one advantage of the online survey over the traditional survey, because respondents have the option. So many times we have missing responses because respondents can skip as many questions as they want. But when you have this option in an online survey, it's not possible for them to skip unless they answer that question. And then we also have the option, you can add an image here. Whatever image you want to add to that particular question, you can add. So you could do that. And you could also want to duplicate this question. You could do that. Sometimes as you're setting, you may realize that, oh, this question is really irrelevant. I may want to delete that question. So that is equally possible. You also have the option to add a description for that question. Remember, anything you're doing here is for this question, or you could add a response validation. And at the side here, we have a setting, all right, for the question section that allows you to add a question, or you can import questions maybe from your Word document, questions that maybe you have typed in already. Or you could add a title and description to this particular question or to a new section and so on. Or you could add an image, or you could add a video, or you could add a whole new section. So when you look at it, see that this section where we had introduction is different from this section where we are setting questions. So you could also add a section, and I could just do that. So I could just add section 2 here, and maybe it could be my thank you. But the disadvantage of this is that they will need to click to move to the next. So I could delete this. But you could add as many sections. So for example, your first section is about career information, and your next section is about socioeconomic status. You may want to do that as well with your survey. All right, so I want to add another question, and I just take add with that plus sign there on your right hand. And this time I want to ask respondents about their age, and I could just include age. And this time I don't want to use the short answer option. I want to use maybe multiple choice, because I'm working with a particular group of respondents. So maybe I want to start 10 to 15, and then I could take the enter, and then take from 16 to 20, or is that 21? So 5. So maybe 15, 16 to 20, and I could go on and add all the options that I want by simply pressing the enter key. And when I'm done, sometimes you may not cover all the options that are there, so you may want to add other. which means that if somebody has some other thing they may add, and this will give them the opportunity to write here, to write their answer. And again, remember, you may want to make this required. There is an option at the end to make everything required if you want. Why we take it step by step is that some questions may not be required. Now you could add as many questions as you want to your Google form, and you could go here. This is customized theme, where you add all the aesthetics and make your survey very beautiful. Surveys are very boring, like especially when they come with their backgrounds looking very hilarious. It may make people just feel funny to respond to it. So you could come here and add some beauty, like the party invite we saw. You may want to add an image to your header. So for example, there are many themes there: work and school, illustrations, birthdays, and so on. We are on work and school. If your survey has got nothing to do with music, you'll be crazy to come and add this piano to it. So everything in your survey should speak to the survey. It's really important. And that's why sometimes we also tell even our students, when you want to ask questions that are relevant to the issue you're investigating. So I'm looking at these different options here. I think you even have things like um all these, how do you call them, all this chemistry stuff. You have them here, pipettes and things like that. So if it doesn't have any relationship with your survey, there's really no need to put this header. But look at the beautiful one here, or even further below, we could put this one here. And so we could put that header, we choose that one, and then we insert that header, and it's a beautiful thing is going to come out from there. And the theme color is now going to change to, I think that's orange. It's going to change to orange. So if you want to change that folder, you're free, you could do that. And you could change background color, and you could also change the font style. You may want to make it decorative like this. Do you like that? Or you may want to make it formal, or you may want to make it playful, or you may just want to stay with basic. So so you could do all of that, and then you could come and preview. So we are done here. So you could come and preview your survey, and you see how the respondent will see it. So this is exactly how they will see it. And that's why if you don't want your email address appearing, you need to remove it. All right, you can go to the option and remove it. So this is how they will receive it, and when they are done, they will submit. You see the red star there indicating that it is compulsory. They must answer before they can move on. And we could go back to editing our survey. All right, so we go back to it, and then we come to settings. Settings in a survey are very important because the settings allow you the settings allow you to better again set up the survey, structure the survey. So we have three options here, three sections: general, presentation, and quizzes. So if you want to collect emails of the participants, you need to click on these. All right, and that means that as participants respond, their emails will be automatically collected. But you want to be mindful of the ethical considerations behind your study. If it's one which is highly anonymous, then of course you don't want to collect respondents' email, because that again may be discouraging to them. So you must have a good reason why you're collecting their emails. You may also want to limit to just one response, that you don't want respondents to give more than one response. You may want to limit. You may also want to give them the option to edit after they have submitted. All right, and also to see the summary charts and text responses, because you'll be able to see the text responses and summary chart. So when as you see it, you may also take the option for them to equally see it. And you could also do go to presentation. You may show the progress bar. For example, we have two questions. So if somebody answers one, they're already halfway done. They're already halfway through the survey, and sometimes just that progress bar is encouraging, is motivating to respondents, because if you have an online survey, you click forever, the survey is unending, and it might be quite discouraging. So you may want to do that. In cases of quizzes, I use this a lot, shuffling question order, because In a multiple choice question, for example, you may have responses such as A, B, C, and students could just memorize that response. And every time you send it out there, it's A, B, C. They just give you without really answering the questions because they know it. So when you shuffle the order, the options could change to C, B, A, or A, B, C, A. And so that's really good for quizzes. And you could show a link for them to submit another response if they want. And I love this so much, your confirmation message. What you give what the respondents will see that indicates that their submission has gone through. So you may want to put, just like you do in your traditional survey, you may want to put thank you, dear respondent, or thank you, and so on and so forth. And there's also the option to create restrictions here, where once they take the survey, they have to fill it immediately. If they don't, their progress will be lost. So you may add that restriction. And also we have quizzes. You could turn your survey into a quiz. Okay, you just need to take this toggle and put it on. And so you have all the options there to turn it into a quiz. That will really work very well when you're doing a class quiz. And that's it. And you're done. And then you have the final phase of your survey. Now you'll be asking, now I'm done with my survey, but how do I get it out? But even before we go here, let's come to responses. So when you're done with your survey and people begin to answer to your survey, you'll find their responses here. So here we have questions, and then the next section we have responses. And you have the option to create a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet, or even a CSV. You can download responses to it in CSV form and manipulate whichever way that you want to. And your survey, equally as the responses comes in, Google automatically produces charts, bar charts, pie charts about the responses, and even histograms and so on. So what the Google does is that Google does a preliminary descriptive analysis of all the responses that have come in, showing you the trend of what you have received. So it's a very good form. And then lastly, we are going to go to more. And when you come to more, this is where you will get the link, all right, to share your survey with others. And you could also add collaborators. Let me take this. So you could add collaborators. If you are working on this research with some other person, you could add them as collaborators, and they will have the option of editing that survey and also receiving the responses as you do. So it's a very good way to collaborate. So I could add the email addresses of my collaborators here. It's quite easy, and I could copy now the link, which I could share through other social media like WhatsApp. I have my WhatsApp here, so I could just go here and share. If you don't have any collaborators to add, so you don't want to maybe go through that option, is still okay. What you can do is get a pre-filled link. So, and then the survey is going to appear, and then you're going to take get link, and then you're going to have that option to copy your link. So you copy the link has been copied to the clipboard, and from there you could share with whoever you want, and whatever responses they give you, you'll have it immediately. Thank you so much. I hope that this will go a long way to help you out. Thank you.